to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Guns, self-defense, concealed carry. This is the Patriot Defense Podcast. From the war room in Idaho's high desert, here's your host, Todd Echols.
And I am back. It is a Sunday morning, and I am tucked away in the war room somewhere in the high desert of southern Idaho. And it's not as early as it usually is when I do the podcast. I was supposed to go running today, and I probably should still go. I'm going to tell you right now, man, the wind, the southern Idaho, I mean, we're not like Wyoming where we just get wind every day, nonstop, all year round, right? But we have our windy season, and we are in the midst of it right now. Woke up, I mean, we got it's like 25, 30 miles an hour, gusts of like 35. It's cold, it's horrible, and I'm going to wimp out today, and I'm not going to go on my run. Instead, I'm going to let my kiddo sleep in. He usually goes out with me. I'm going to let him sleep in, and after this podcast, I'm going to go inside. We're going to do some strength training and jump on the rower, and I still feel horribly guilty for not going up. Not that makes any sense to any of you guys, unless you're a runner, then you get it. But the weather is better. It could still be winter here. Like it definitely could be. The weather is a lot better. We are almost to June. This wind, we need to get through the windy season and just get back to normal 80-degree temperatures, and I will be a happy camper. Speaking of weather, we're just jumping right into it today, it seems like, right? Speaking of weather, yesterday I had and he's listening to this podcast, Dylan's out there listening to the podcast. He had a class yesterday morning, and man, it started off pretty good. It was a good class all the way through, but it started off pretty good, right? And by the time we kind of got into the roll, it started raining a little bit. And rain's not horrible. It wasn't bad. Idaho rains, usually a few drops blowing sideways a little bit, or just it rains for a second and then there's nothing. It rained solid for, I want to say, almost 2 hours. The entire length of his class. If you are on social media, go check out the video I posted on Instagram and Facebook. We're talking everything sitting there in a puddle of water. We were out there in it, and he was working on drawing from concealed. And we were out there. It was like, there's no reason to do this. Like we're doing this unloaded with no live rounds. Let's just run in the classroom real quick. when it first started, maybe it'll go away. And so we were in the classroom, and he was practicing his draw, and we were talking about doing, practice the reloads and stuff like that, obviously unloaded, and kind of just waiting for the little rain to pass by. And it never did. It kind of lightened up a little bit. So we're like, oh, well, we've been in here for about 40 minutes now. Let's go outside and let's shoot, right? We got out there. It just dumped. It just started dumping. My pants, my jeans, I was wearing jeans. My jeans were so wet that the water is just just running off of them. Like And if there's one thing I hate more than anything else, it's like a sensory thing for me. I hate wet jeans, material. Oh God, I hate that so bad. But we stood there, and he did really good. Like, we got him back to some pretty far distances. He was shooting really good. We learned a few things. We learned that, you want to, obviously, we talk about it all the time. Other people talk about it all the time as well. Some safety precautions that we put in because it was raining. And we talked about how his gun might get slippery and it could fall out of his hand. I don't want it to, but it could. Don't catch the gun if it does that. Just let it hit the ground. We talked about being a little more deliberate in what we were doing, because he found anyhow, that when he was clearing his cover garment because of the rain, when he was clearing his cover garment, right, his shirt, his hoodie, everything, because we weren't really dressed for the rain. Like, this is not the Oregon coast here. And we weren't quite expecting that much rain. He grabbed his hoodie, grabbed it to pull it up over the gun. Stuff's heavier. It clings to the gun more. It clings to the holster. And so he had to be a little more deliberate when clearing his cover garment over his carry gun. And we talked about that as well. It's like every time you do this, every time you go out and practice that draw stroke, you need to be deliberate every single time. Like, don't half-ass anything, because the way you are training right now is going to be the way that you're creating that neural pathway, creating that muscle memory. That's the way that you're going to perform under pressure. So you do everything all the way, 100%, 110%, right? I mean, aggressively move your cover garment, get to your gun, drive it out. Don't do anything halfway, because then that translates over to a bad situation under stress in a situation where you needed to save your life or to defend yourself. So we had a few hiccups there, but he learned some lessons. We both learned some lessons there. And I tell you what, if you've never... Now, I'm going to back up before I get into this part. And I always hear, and I know those who say it are going to laugh at you. If it ain't raining, you ain't trading. Well, that's sure. But the brand new person, doesn't need to learn the fundamentals and the basic safety like in the rain. That's just not a thing. But yesterday was good. I mean, not that I enjoyed the rain necessarily, but it was raining and he was training, and he's progressed far enough along in his journey into defensive shooting, right? That the weather's, you never know when you're going to have to use it. And so he learned lots yesterday. He learned that when you do a mag change, those magazines can be a little slippery. He didn't throw a mag. He didn't toss a mag. I don't know if you've ever experienced doing that. He did really good. Everything was real sharp. So it was just a fun class, fun experience. He also learned something about his shooting bag, which I need to probably check on mine. I didn't take any guns out with me, just my training guns, because I knew that they were probably going to get wet, and I don't like to clean guns, so I didn't do that. He brought a couple different guns he wanted to shoot, and if you see the video, you'll see the gun cases and stuff sitting on the table out there. And he had this kind of like just a shooting range bag type of thing. He's like, I want to see if this is waterproof. And we got all done, and he's like, I'm calling it. We both kind of called it with about 15 minutes to spare. It's like, we're done. Like, it was just a straight up downpour for like the last 15 minutes, right? You can only get so wet, but enough was enough. Anyhow, he opened up his I feel bad. He opened up his gun case. The cloth, range bag type thing. He opened it up, and he had another gun in there, and it was in that bag, and it was just sitting in a puddle of water, just sitting in a puddle of water. So if you think your range bag is waterproof, guess again. There's a good chance that it is not. I know I've got a stack of targets and stuff in my gun case in there that are probably toast. They're just paper targets. It's not a big deal. I'm sitting here thinking about my bag that was sitting out there. I had like 3 pairs of electronic ear pro in that bag. I hope those little cases, those things are in, sealed up well, because if they didn't, I bet you I don't have any electronic. Well, I have ear pro still, but I bet you the electronic don't work. I'll take a look at it tomorrow. I'll probably need to dump that sucker out, let her dry. That was not, the rain we had yesterday was not an Idaho rain. That was more like a Washington State rain for just a little bit. It didn't last near as long as what the rains up in Washington State last, but that was like a Washington State type of rain. That was not an Idaho rain. Crazy, crazy weather. It's cold. I got the heaters on in the house, and then by Tuesday or Wednesday, we're supposed to be back up in the mid 80s. So I'm complaining, but I'm not complaining. It'll make my grass look nice. It'll make everything grow, my new trees I planted, but I am getting just a little bit tired of it, because it's kind of wrecking my schedule of things that I wanted to go and do. Okay, so that was quite the intro, wasn't it? Quite the intro there, but I just kind of got right into it. I've been sitting here for about an hour or so, drinking coffee and So I'm kind of like ready to go at this point. But let's talk about last week's podcast. And I got a couple texts, more than one. It's like, man, that was a depressing podcast. Well, it was, and that's okay. And because it was a depressing podcast. And it's because I just don't feel like it's going to be another depressing podcast. But it's just because I don't feel like anything hardly is being done for the gun owner right now. And it's not just from the Democrats; it's from the Republicans. And I've talked about it. I think that from local, from state, right, from where I live in my state here in Idaho, to all the way, up at the federal level, like nothing really is being done. Now, there are some partial wins. I always say partial wins. Some agreements were made. They tried to come to what they thought was a fair agreement on a few things since we did the podcast last. So let's talk about this. So we have what they call the Suppressor Act or bill or the Hush Act or whatever. It might be slightly different, but that is the one where they wanted to take away the $200 tax stamp on suppressors and then take them off the NFA, so take them off the registration list. And there was a few Republicans that were standing in the way, standing right there in the way of it, and they were not letting it pass. And they were just saying F you. They were pretty much giving us all the finger. Go figure, the Republicans not wanting to pass something good for gun control. And it's the same way with the Democrats. The Democrats aren't off the hook either because they obviously don't want a good gun legislation to benefit the Second Amendment. And I don't believe that most on the right do as well. We have to remember they are the elite. And it's not that they hate guns. They just hate us having guns. They are the elite. They can have guns, or their bodyguards and their security teams can have firearms, but we cannot have the guns. I mean, that's what it is. When they are more concerned with their people having guns to protect themselves and us not having guns, that's when we need to be worried. That's when we need to be worried that bad things could be. Like, what are they planning? Like, what is on the horizon, right? Well, they took this bill, the Suppressor Act bill, and I think it was Monday or Tuesday it came out that they came out and they essentially wanted to be congratulated. Look at us. Look what we did. We went ahead and we came to a compromise. We compromised away your rights. We took two things that you guys wanted, two things that were against the Constitution. They were unconstitutional laws. The NFA registration and the $200 tax stamp. We're on your side. We compromised for you. And what we did is we want to drop the $200 tax stamp on the suppressor. But you're still going to register that baby. It's still going to be on the NFA deal, which you're still going to register it. We're still going to know you have it. You still want you on a list. But look what we did for you. We saved you some money, and you should thank us. No, that's really not the way it works. You can't. They want to compromise on everything. You can't compromise. You can't give them an inch. We need to take this back. The whole thing is unconstitutional. You can't give me half my rights back and then still keep half of them. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. You can't. Well, they will do it, but that's wrong. That's unconstitutional. And so you have to be really concerned. And this is something you have to remember with all elected officials, whether it be Democrats or Republicans. I feel like I would just focus on the Republicans because they're honestly the ones that are really in charge right now. And we all thought it would be great for the Second Amendment and gun rights, and it is not. But they will give up money. They will give up dollars to keep what they consider power. And having you on a list, them giving up the $200 the stamp, right? They're okay with that. It shows you what they really want. It's not about money; it's about the power. They really just want your name on a list because those suppressors are so horrible. Those suppressors are so evil. They want your name on the list. They want to know who has it. They want that registration. They want a registration. I don't care who you are. Democrats or Republicans, you want a registration. You want the registration of the NFA items. You would love a registration of a firearms register, National Firearms Register list. You'd love that as well. And those that tell you that they don't, then I would really, really question that, because they don't care about us. They don't care about us and our constitutional rights. They don't care about fire. I don't care who you are. Republican-wise, if you're in charge, if you're up there, you really don't care. You're up there, you're getting to make the laws. You're kind of considered one of the elitists at this point, and the laws don't apply to you, and you just don't care about the people that voted you in. You cared about us during the election when you lied to us, right? You cared about us during the election when you pandered to us, when you said what we wanted. And this includes everyone, the president, the Republicans, everyone. You cared about us then. You cared about our votes. You did what you had to do. You said what you had to say to get us voted in, or to get voted in. And that's all you care. That's on the federal level. That's on the state level. That's on the local level. It doesn't matter to me. I'm so disenfranchised with it all right now. Republicans and Democrats, and you probably picked that up the last 3 shows. This is kind of what I focused on, because honestly, it's what's on my brain right now. It's what I'm focused on, so that I'm going to talk about it. Now, we also, there is what they call the Short Act, and I believe it is the same way. It would take SBRs, SBSs, that kind of stuff off the NFA, right? And it would give us our rights back. Get rid of, and so I don't know exactly where that stands. I doubt they're doing anything with that, especially if we can't even get suppressors off of it. So I doubt that's going to happen, but that's something to keep an eye on. Now, another big thing that came in is the FRT triggers, or the forced reset triggers. They have come out, and they have deemed that it is not classified as a machine gun. It is a part. It is a trigger. It is not classified as a machine gun. So now you can have those again. And the company called Rare Breed makes them, and they put out a statement. I couldn't find it. I saw it the other day, but I couldn't find it on social media anywhere. I mean, I didn't look real hard. But they came out, I think, by June or something like that. They're going to be back up and rolling and back in business. And so, I mean, I guess that's a little bit of a win, but I mean, come on. I mean, I feel like it was just compromised again. Like, we'll let you guys have that, but we want this over here. It's kind of like a whole bump stock deal. Oh God, who banned bump stocks? Who said we should get rid of those? Who compromised on that? I don't know. Maybe I should look that up. Whatever. It is what it is. But I just wanted to point all this stuff out, man. Don't trust them. Don't trust any of them. None of them at all. So, well, that'd be interesting to see where this ends up, and if there's anything else that is done. I'm still waiting for the list of unconstitutional things that Pam Bondi is supposed to release on the ATF, and all the bad things that they have done. I also saw, now, I didn't even pull this information up. I saw it last night, and I didn't save it. Something to watch too. That there was a gentleman in Arkansas, that he was the head of that airport down there. He bought a bunch of guns over a certain period of time, and he sold some, and the ATF came in and freaking killed him. I knocked on his door, so I don't know exactly what happened. They killed him, and his family, or his wife, is actually suing the ATF over that. So that's something to watch as well, man. My thoughts are, just get rid of the ATF. Get rid of the ATF. It's really that easy. Why is that so hard? I mean, you dismantled the U.S. Department of Education, right? The Education Department, which I think was a good thing. I'm not against that. So dismantle the ATF. Get rid of the ATF. It's pretty simple. But I think there's a lot more at play, a lot deeper than what we know, and there's obviously reasons why they're not doing this. And I think it's because they're into some shady stuff. Like, I don't know, remember in the Fast and the Furious when they were actually selling guns to the Mexican cartel? and then some of our own guys got killed with those guns that the ATF sold them. I mean, maybe there's some more of that crap going on. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. It's out there. It happens. Like I said, don't trust anybody. Now, there was another story that came up on on the news a few days ago, and it talks about there's actually a video. It went out on TikTok, it went out on Instagram, it was on Facebook, of these, I think, two little boys, two kids. One was 7, one was 9 years old. They got their hands on a gun, and they actually tried to have a shootout with law enforcement, and this was down in New Mexico. Tried to have a shootout with law enforcement. Now, in the video, it shows them hiding behind what looks to be, I want to say it was like an air conditioning unit or something. And they got this gun, and the two boys are like wrestling with it, fighting over it. The law enforcement's like, you're not in trouble. Just give us the gun. You're not in trouble. Just give us the gun. Finally, the law enforcement shot a rubber bullet at the kids. Not at them, but it's like hit the air conditioner unit, like in between them, scare them, right? Well, it was pretty wild, because as soon as that happened, what did the kid do? The kid raised the gun, pointed it at law enforcement officers, and pulled the trigger. But guess what? The gun jammed. It jammed up. It malfunctioned. It didn't fire. And then law enforcement was able to come in and get it. But that kid, I don't know which one it was, the 7-year-old or the 9-year-old. He was all ready to shoot a law enforcement officer with that gun. That's a scary deal. That, here's the thing. People are going to look at that. They're going to blame the guns. It's the gun's fault. It's the gun's fault. They didn't have, it's the gun's fault. It wasn't the gun's fault. It's called shitty parenting. That's what that's called. Shitty parenting. Okay? Shitty parents a lot of times have shitty kids. Now, if you look at the system and you look at everything that has happened with that situation before it actually happened, right? Law enforcement, this came out, the law enforcement had been called to those kids' home, to that house where those kids live 50 times. They'd been there 50 times. Now, I don't know over what time span, but they'd been there 50 times. Shouldn't that throw up some kind of I hate that word, red flag, but some kind of, whistle, something like this should show that, hey, look, there's something bad going on here. Like, we need to probably do something. Well, the kid's dad is actually in prison, but before he went to jail, they said that he had taught his boys how to use and fire that little gun, and then he went to jail. And I hear the mom was a piece of work too. So why don't we talk about the parenting? Why don't we talk about the conditions that the boys were living in and what they had been subject to and seen and how they were raised? Because that was the problem. The gun is not the problem. The gun didn't jump into the kids' hands, have a conversation with them, and tell them to both go out and hide behind an air conditioning unit and almost have a shootout with law enforcement. Like, it was literally almost a shootout. If that gun had gone off, it would have been considered a shootout. The gun didn't do that. That's, like I said, that's shitty parenting. That's bad parenting. That's why have you showed up to this house 50 times and really nothing has been done. That's if you show up to the house, and I don't know exactly why that they showed up to the house 50 different times, and there was a problem. Where was CPS? Why didn't those kids get taken out of the home? Obviously, they're stellar parents, and they were raising stellar children. So, I mean, there's a big problem with that. The fact that even some of these other shootings that we've had in the past, some of these school shootings and stuff, it's like these people were known by the police. They'd been contacted by law enforcement, and yet some of this stuff still happens. And then that leads us into the real gray area of red flags and when do you do what and when do you do this type of situation. But I don't know. I mean, these stories are interesting. And coming out of New Mexico, I would imagine this is going to get turned real bad because they're heavily run by the left down there. That's the way they lean. And this is not going to be great. I mean, this is coming from a state where I think it was the governor of that state came out and tried to outlaw the carrying of firearms in, is it Albuquerque or one of those cities, right? I don't know, just some real bad stuff. It's not good, and it's probably not going to go well for them down there. But that's kind of my rant for the day. A real kind of a short podcast, but I I don't know. I'm real disillusioned with the whole even Republic. I don't want Democrats in power either. I mean, I'll just say that. So I don't know what the actual answer is. But I'm real disillusioned right now with the Republicans being in power and doing, like I said, absolutely nothing. And let's not even get into the tax plan. Let's not even get into the big, beautiful tax plan, because that's a big problem. It's a big problem for you and me and probably most people that like listen to this podcast. So I just not real excited about anything right now. Honestly, nothing at all. I was also sitting here and kind of like looking around, doing some thinking today out here in the war room. And I've got an interesting subject coming up for a future podcast, maybe not the next one, but a future podcast. And that is knives. There's these things I have that I carry that I think are cool, that I spend lots of money on, that I don't talk about a whole lot. And that is knives. If you carry a firearm, you typically carry a knife. Sometimes they're the average knives. You cut, I call just kind of utility style knives. That I used to cut cardboard boxes and paper and packages and envelopes open and targets and whatever. And then I have what more the knives that never cut anything. That's what I call them. The knives that never cut anything. They're really, really, really sharp, but they never cut anything. And that's because I spent lots of money on them. And they're what I call my defense knives, or my man stabbers. That's my people stabber. If I ever have to use it, that's my people stabber. And so you have those knives as well. So I want to get into that topic, not today, a little later on. I was kind of gathering up all my knives and kind of looking at them today. And I spent a lot of money on a little chunk of metal a few times. And, you never use it, right? But it's there in case you need it, type of thing. So anyhow, we'll get into that topic, I think, in the next few weeks. I'm not sure when it'll come up, but look forward to hearing that in a future podcast. And if you listen to the podcast, I sure do appreciate it. Share it with your family. Share it with your friends. Share it on social media. Hopefully, today, I delivered depressing news, but in an upbeat manner. That was my goal. Depressing news in an upbeat manner. I don't know if that came across that way, but I tried. I tried to make you happy. So there you go. I'm going to see you guys later. I'll see you in a week. Bye.